All right, welcome back once again to another Behind the Agent podcast with me, your host, Frank Array. And I've got a real special guest with me today, and we're going to talk about him right about now. Let's welcome Marco Esquivel. Is that a good way to say it? Esquivel?
Yep, that's perfect.
That's perfect. All right, Marco Esquivel, my friends, to the Behind the Agent podcast. Glad to have you here, Marco. All right, let's go ahead and go ahead and go through stats and all that kind of stuff real quick for everybody that's watching, because probably a bunch of real estate agents that are watching, right? Wondering how the heck are you doing it? Where are you getting your business from? You know what I find too, Marco, is that even agents, there's agents of all different levels, right? And so, if you get an agent that's doing 100 deals a month, they still want to know what an agent's doing at 50, because there might be something in there. And someone who's doing 50 still may want to know what someone who's doing 20 is, because there might be something in there. And then vice versa. Obviously, if I'm doing 20, I certainly want to know what the guy doing 50 is, or the guy doing 100. What are they doing, right? So I find that these are just really, really useful for agent of every level, because everybody does things just to kind of there's a lot of similarities across the board, but everybody usually has something unique. Let's talk about you real quick. You are with a company called First Team Real Estate. They're based out of Irvine, and you spend some time at the Carlsbad office with them once in a while. But you are in both Northern California and you are in Southern California. You spend a lot of time up here in Northern California in your life.
Yeah, out in Roseville, Sacramento area. Yep.
Okay, so we're up in the Roseville, Sac, Placerville. You said
all of it. Yeah.
Everywhere in Northern California,
Eldorado Hills. All the different areas. Even
that
Yuba,
greater Sacramento area, right? And then so you cover that area, but then also you're down there in Southern California, Irvine, Carlsbad, San Diego. You got property in both areas, that kind of a thing. You've been in the business 7 years, so you're kind of the tweener for me, right? It's not, you're not the new kid, right? But you're not the 20-year vet. You're that tweener guy. But this is your second career, so
it is.
You retired from a particular career and then came into real estate. Transactionally, you're doing about 36 deals a year, really steady Eddie. That's like 3 deals a month pretty consistently, which is really nice. I mean, there's a lot of agents that would love to be there. I mean, there's a lot of agents doing 3 deals a year. So let's be honest.
I heard about that average. I was like, wow, okay.
It really is. It used to be like 6, but I think if we were going to recast that average, over the past 24 months, something like that, I think we'd be bored down to like 4 or something like that a year is what the average.
It's hit or miss based on where you're at, what's going on in the economy, and this and that, and all these other things that affect
it is. But it's also like we all know this, there's a huge amount of real estate people that are in it not to win it, right? They're just in it. They're in it part-time. A family member comes along, they'll help, something like that, but they're not necessarily like after it, like
you're right. They wait for
so that skews the averages. That skews the averages, but you're kicking butt. So 36 in 12 months, something like that. 37, we were saying. Great, doing great. That's a great steady income for being retired from one business and rolling into another one. It's like,
and actually, knock on wood, things have been pretty cool.
I would say this too, and I don't know what you're making at your past retirement, but doing 36 deals a year, you're probably making a fairly decent income in real estate that probably rivals what you were making in your previous career.
Actually, it does. It does rival what I was doing prior to getting into real estate, and a lot more flexibility for sure, which I enjoy. That's the beauty about real estate. I'm, sort of my own boss. I don't have a brick and mortar office necessarily. I do my own thing and march to my own tune and help people. That's what I enjoy. So.
So real briefly, because we talked about this in the green room per se, but it is you had another career which has been beneficial to you in your real estate career. So just real quickly, what was the previous career and why was that beneficial?
Well, my background's in economics and finance. And so I retired in 2017. I was the bureau director for financial management at the Franchise Tax Board, which is the IRS of California. Right.
Yeah.
So I have an extensive finance background, so I understand the economy. I understand things that go on in the economy. So it allowed me to take that understanding and that background and move it to real estate and financial services to help people navigate through all the craziness that goes on.
Mm-mm. Yeah, you
So,
come from a position of where you can explain certain things maybe a little
you
bit
got
better
it.
than another real estate agent who doesn't have
Yeah.
the economic background or
No,
the
and
finance
I
background.
understand contracts, because my background, I'm dealing with a lot of different things. So,
Yeah.
I have it was an easy transition. Let's put it
Gotcha.
that way.
Okay. Yeah, contracts is one of those things too, where it's like
Yeah.
I look at a real estate contract, I'm like, oh God,
You got to
okay,
read it.
figure this one out. Yeah. So thank God
Yeah.
they've got them created. So for the most part, you can just leave everything blank and it works
Blank, but
unless you want
I
to
mean,
change something,
and it keeps on getting thicker and thicker and
I
thicker each
know.
year. I'm like,
It's
oh,
nuts. It's
yeah.
nuts. Nuts. Now we got the whole buyer agent agreement and all
Oh,
that's now that's
oh,
it.
don't get me
And
started on
like
that.
the car buyer agent agreement is like it's like 12 pages long or 10 pages long or
Yeah.
something ridiculous, just
Now, I mean, when I write an offer, it's 27 pages, and that's without the buyer broker agreement that's coming in about 2 weeks or three
yeah,
weeks.
like
So I'm not
tomorrow.
going to add
Yeah.
more. So
Yeah. Okay. So,
yeah.
all right. So prior
All right.
career helped you out. Yeah. You
Yep.
retired. You realized you wanted to go into real estate. You would share we'll share this quick story. You were at a budget meeting for the state of California or something, and tell that story
Yeah.
real quick where you realized, hey, real estate might be a direction to go. What was that?
Yeah. So I was sitting down at the Capitol, about to, there was a budget hearing going on, and that was my background. So before I was gonna go in and listen and testify and all these other things, I was listening to the housing agency, finance housing agency, testify at a hearing, and they were explaining that California was 20 years behind in building. We needed to build 180,000 units,
A year
a year for the next 20 years to
for
catch
20
up.
years.
And that was in 2017. So, and then there was other talks about, codes and coastal areas and this
Yeah.
and that and all this.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, well, I'm 50 years old and I know what I'm going to do.
So that must have been kind of weird though to
Yeah.
come from working with the franchise state tax board,
Mhm.
to I think I'll go into real estate. You never had any thoughts of that before? Like,
Well, I
what
did. I
was it
mean,
on
yeah,
the
I did.
radar?
Well, I did when I was younger, and then, but I was also coaching. So then I started coaching football when I was younger. I coached football for 29 years at
Like
the
high school level or what?
junior
Where
college
junior
and high
college?
school.
Okay.
Yeah, junior college, high school, and youth football. When
Mm,
my son had played and stuff.
mm,
But here in Northern California, so I spent a lot of years. So I was around the community, helping people just in athletics and those types of things. And then
mm,
obviously my background, in my profession.
mm.
And so when I decided to get into real estate, it sort of allowed me to really just share my knowledge, both in like schools and as well as finance and real estate and because I also have a financial producer's license on, insurances and investing and this and so it really just allowed me to be a coach, but in a different way,
Yeah. So
not football,
I
but
get it.
coaching in life.
I get
So
it. Yeah, since you've got the background, you got the other licensing, you've got all that. You can help with, because obviously real estate's a big part of everyone's financial
it's a
picture,
huge, it's the
right?
number one
So
portfolio thing. Yeah.
yeah, so now you can say, hey, I can help you with that, but what do you got going on over here, and what do you got going on over here? I might be able to help you in
Talk
these
about,
areas as well.
yeah, especially
Yeah,
being able to retire, when I was, 50 years old, I can
yeah,
share with people sort of what I did
yeah.
and
Here's how
how I
I did
prepared
it.
myself,
Yeah, yeah,
and these are some things you want to consider or look for.
yeah,
And obviously real estate is the number one thing, you know,
yeah.
that it affects everybody. So
Great wealth builder. Yeah,
you got it. You
yeah.
got it.
Okay, so good stuff. All right, that's how you got here. Let's accelerate now. Let's accelerate now to 2024. And just for the sake of everybody
Yeah.
understanding this, I don't know when they might be watching this or what have you, but
Yeah.
it is July 23rd, 2024. That's when this is being recorded. So for
Yep.
perspective, if you're watching this 6 months from now, you know where we are because it could be a different
Yep.
world 6 months from now.
It
We have
could
no idea.
be.
Yeah,
It
so
could be.
we just don't know.
Yeah.
Be a very
Hold
different
on.
world. We don't know. So
Hold on. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So at any rate, so
Yeah.
37 deals, 36, 37 deals a year, 7 years in the
Mhm.
business. I'd like to kind of just jump right into it. Like, if you could give me like maybe two things that you would say, hey,
Mhm.
these are probably, if you can give me three, if it's just one, it's
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
But the like, give me a couple of things that you say, hey, I'm steady Eddie, at least 3 deals a month, pretty steady Eddie. But here's the two things that I would say are moving the needle for me. Like, this is
Yes.
how I get my business in the door. I'm
Yeah.
just wildly curious about what those couple of things are. What would you say they are?
Well, the first thing is make sure you're building relationships.
Okay.
Because I do my business is referral based. I don't do a
Okay.
lot of marketing as far as, cold calling or knocking on
Google
doors.
ads, Facebook
None
ads.
of that.
You don't
Not
really do
really.
that.
No. No. Really, it's your sphere of influence.
And when you
Okay.
say
So
sphere of influence, just to be clear, you're talking about everybody you know, right?
everybody you know.
Like if I was going to invite everyone I know to a wedding or something like that, these are the people on my list, everybody that I know.
You
Is
got
that
it.
is that how you got started? Did you just
It
start?
is. It
Why?
is.
How does I got here's my question for you. So you've been in the business for 7 years, and so you go from franchise state tax board, coaching football, that kind of a thing. Did somebody tell you, hey Marco, the place to get started is go through your phone and write down everybody you know, or just start with everybody you know, or did you just think of that on your own? How did you think to start with sphere of
Well, I
influence?
mean, you know, I thought about it on my own because I was already in that type of business when, like in coaching, when I was coaching the junior college level, we recruit high school kids. So
Okay.
I knew, how to recruit because I would
Okay.
do that already. So the biggest part, when in real estate is they have to know what you do. They have to know the services you provide. You have to put yourself out there. And so you can't be afraid to talk. You can't be shy. You want to make sure that people know you're there to help them. And any questions that come up, call me. Curiosity, because people are always curious. Hey, well, how's the market? Hey, what's going on with, I see this stuff on Zillow or Realtor.com or whatever. Or how the prices, how the
Mm,
interest rates, and
mm, mm.
you got to be able to talk to people about those things, and
How
you
did
can't be shy
you
about it.
how did you so how do you let your sphere of influence know? What do you don't
Well,
do
the
ads,
first
you don't
thing,
do Google, you don't do Facebook.
not
How do you
really,
let them
no.
know? How do they know
Well,
that
a
you're
lot of
doing?
people, because I know a lot of people because of what I did prior, previously,
Sure.
and people know my background. People trust me in a sense
Yeah.
because obviously I was their coach.
Got it.
I was, you know, somebody in the community that people could trust.
Yeah.
And so you build those relationships, even outside of this, before I got into real estate, I was always somebody that's always willing to help people, and provide advice and certain
How did
things.
they learn that you went into real estate though? Did you let
When I
them all
first went
know?
in,
You send them a
yeah,
letter?
when I
Did you
first went
give them
in,
a call? Yeah.
I put it out on Facebook,
Okay.
my wife shared, people share it, hey, my family, hey, coach is, retiring. He's getting his real estate license, blah, blah,
Okay.
blah, and then it sort of just fed like a fire, right? I mean, just
Mm.
like anything. And then when you start doing a deal here and doing a deal there, you put it out there that, hey, I just closed this, I just did this, I just helped this person. And then it becomes a word of mouth.
Okay,
And
so
then,
you are posting on social media.
oh no, I'll post on
You're not
Facebook and
doing
Instagram.
advertising,
I'm not doing advertising.
but you're letting people know coach is now
Hmm.
doing real estate, and so
Hmm.
in all these relationships, you're obviously connected to them on social media. Coach is now doing real estate. People say, "Oh, coach is
Yeah.
doing real estate now. Coach is doing real
Yeah.
estate." And so, did you do any other outreach besides that? Did you make any phone calls? Send them a letter? Did you do
No,
it? Was
not
it
really.
just
Not
social?
really.
Was it just
No, just
social?
social. And then when I do listings, obviously I'll do the typical marketing, basically
Sure.
marketing around the neighborhoods and things like that. But
Yeah.
when you help somebody and it's a good experience, obviously you always want to make sure that you take care of your clients
Right.
because you want to make sure that they are clients for life. Because that's really where you're going to build your reputation when you actually help somebody buy a home or sell a home,
Right.
and they learn to trust you because you walk through the process. You take the time to explain the challenges that go on with buying or selling property, and so you become a trusted advisor.
Sure.
You become
Yeah.
a consultant in essence,
Yeah.
right? And they appreciate that experience, and then they have their son, their daughter, their cousins, their nieces, their friends, their daughter's friends, or whoever. Hey, I know somebody, right? We all have that. Hey, I know a guy, or I
Yeah.
know a gal that can
Yeah.
help you in
Yeah.
any service, right? In any service. So, like I have, hey, I have a contractor. Hey, I have a plumber. Hey, I have, whatever. Um, Once you've built that and they trust you, then that's the relationship you're building. And then even after you've sold them a house, stay in contact with them.
So how
You
do you do
know,
that?
um, I'll send them, I have email stuff that goes out to my previous clients,
Okay.
just on real estate in general,
Yeah.
tidbits, to stay in top of mind, but
Yeah.
also, um, you know, do the Christmas cards and, text messages occasionally, how you doing, and then when they call, I answer the phone.
Mm.
See,
Hmm.
that's the other thing. Answer the phone.
Yeah. You're not the only one that said that. Trust me.
Return a text message.
Yeah.
Return an email.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they call me on just other types of advice because my other license.
Got yeah.
And
Yeah.
then because obviously they've got their house now, goes on to the next phases of their life. You build that relationship with them, because you want to take care of people, and trying to make a difference.
So you got started just by getting the word out there, primarily on
Mhm.
socials, and this is what I do.
Yeah.
Now you're doing 37 deals, 37 deals a year, which is,
Mhm.
and it's only in 7 years. So I mean, of course, there's a little bit of a ramp up, right? It's not like you came out of the
Yeah.
chutes doing 37, right?
No.
So,
Yeah.
so you had your beginner years of
Yeah. My first year was 3, and then it was the following year was like 6, and then it went to 11, 12, 11, 12, boom, and then 21, and now, just
Yeah, now you're into the 30s. Now you're into
yeah.
the 30s. So, but basically, it's sphere of influence, staying visible. I would think is the best
Yes.
way to say this. Is you stay visible. You do
Mhm.
stay in touch with some basic email drips or
Yeah.
whatever. The past clients,
Mhm.
birthday card,
Yeah.
Christmas cards, or
Yeah.
whatever. Oh, Downey, California. Somebody's calling me from Downey. That's interesting. I do have an agent I work with in Downey, so I'm wondering, I wonder if that's something. But at any rate, yeah. So Christmas cards or birthday cards or,
Uh,
or whatever
those
text message once in a while. So you are staying in touch, but you're just basically staying visible. Okay, that's sphere of influence. Does your business come from anywhere else? Of course. Do you get referrals?
Yes, I get referrals from, lenders, you know, as well, because one of the other things is when you do receive a referral, you have to be able to perform,
Mm-hmm.
which means whether it be a listing or you're helping a buyer, if they say, "Hey, I got a buyer or I got somebody you could take care of, can you help them?" Absolutely. Jump in there, find out what they need and
Yeah.
help them.
Yeah.
But go the extra mile to make sure you help them, because when you help them, obviously whoever referred them to you feels a lot better about referring more people to you.
Sure. Makes total sense. Yeah.
And if you can't help them and they come back and say, "Well, this guy couldn't help me."
Right.
Well, then that's the last referral you're going to receive.
Yeah. Right. Try somebody
So
else.
so you have
But
to be able to perform.
yeah, yeah. What would you say your ratio is these days, listing to buyer, seller to buyer?
Well, the last couple of years, during 2020 to 2022,
Yeah,
listings were like, that's what you wanted, right? Because
right,
everything was flying off the shelf.
right.
Now it's a lot more buyers, a lot of first-time home buyers.
Okay,
I would say probably 80% buyers now. At
interesting.
least
Okay,
for the last 12 months, I've gotten a lot, or 12, yeah, pretty much the last 12
more
months, a
more on
lot
the
of
buyer
buyers,
side.
a
More on
lot
the
of
buyer side.
buyers,
Okay.
which is fine because, for the long prior to that, it was a lot of listings
Mm,
because the buyers were getting creamed, right?
right, right. Yeah, it was
And
hard.
so
It was tough for them.
it
Yeah,
was, it was tough. It was tough.
yeah.
And
Especially first
so
timers. Like, ugh,
first times were
brutal.
I felt sorry for them because
I did too.
they
Yeah,
were
there was
priced
like they
out.
had no chance. Yeah,
They had no chance.
yeah.
So now it's really about, I find the joy of helping some of these first time home buyers, because this is what they've been trying to do. And this
Finally.
is this is
Yeah.
their first time. I mean, this is their first shot at this. And
Yeah.
it has to work, you know, because they'll get discouraged, and seeing the joy on their face and just, the appreciation that they have for, being able to finally accomplish that
Yeah.
is huge.
Yeah.
So
Cool. So I asked for two places, two, and so far we've discussed, the sphere of influence being number one. We did touch base on referrals. Or any other place that you get deals from? Do you buy leads? Do you get
no, I don't buy
anything like
leads.
that? No, no. Is
No,
that pretty much your world? Is what we just
referrals.
discussed?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
referrals. And I'll be honest with you, when you have an organic farm, or, an organic
Yeah.
referral system, and you're leveraging that,
Yeah.
um, and taking care of people, it will
Yeah.
feed itself.
Yeah.
It will feed itself. When you go out, I mean, it doesn't mean I don't help strangers, anybody who,
Sure.
knocks on my
Somehow
door.
lands in your lap. Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm definitely gonna help them, but then I build off that
Yeah.
to make sure I help that person, so that person becomes part of my referral base. You
Right.
got
Of
it.
course. Yeah.
But if a lot of people, a lot of agents, well, I don't say a lot, but some agents will go out and try to buy a bunch of leads.
Hmm.
And if they're not converting, you're throwing money at it that's not working,
Yeah.
you know?
You have to be
Sometimes,
really good at converting if you do that. I did interview a
yeah.
guy, and he's up in the northern, he's up in Northern California,
Mhm.
with us, but I can't remember exactly where. But he is a lead buyer, but this guy is just neurotic about
Yeah.
conversion and numbers, and but he did it right. You know what I mean? So you can do that,
Oh, no,
but
absolutely.
you got to be good at it.
But you
You've
gotta
got it,
hustle.
it can't be, I'm buying these leads. I made a call or two. They didn't pick up and now it's done. And these are terrible. It's like, you got to there's a lot more you got to put into it. But
You do.
let's get back to you. The,
Yeah.
the referral base, having that is just such a nicer place to be. It really is, because it's just, let me ask you this though. You're staying
Sure.
visible, and then we'll move on to advice, and you're in a crazy
Yeah, yeah,
story
yeah.
so we can get this done. But in staying visible, and we talked about social media, you don't advertise on or whatever, but you do the typical, I should say typical things where you're like, I got a listing, I got this listing, or I sold a home, I sold the
Yeah.
home.
And
How
and and stay in
often,
front of people,
how
and stay
often
in
would you
front of
say
people.
you post into social, and what kind of do you post? You know,
I really just post
got something to
when
say?
yeah, well, when I close a deal,
Yeah,
do send out, emails, to stay in front of people. I guess I do
yeah,
market a little bit
yeah,
in that the emails will go to my sphere of influence, my
yeah,
farm.
yeah,
Basically, just tidbits on real estate, making sure whether or not, winterize your house or this or
yeah.
that,
Do
those
you
types
make
of things.
that stuff up, or do you have a service that you just
I have a
kind of?
service that does that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do you mind
because
sharing who
I
that is, just
yeah,
by chance?
I
Do you
can't
like them?
yeah, I mean, they do what I ask.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I wanna keep it simple because I don't wanna inundate anyone either,
Right. Yeah. Are you like once a week email, or are you
No,
every couple
usually,
weeks? What are you?
once a month, once,
Once a
twice
month?
a month.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good
yeah,
stuff. All right,
yeah.
cool. Well, listen, brother, let's get to advice. Like, somebody's
Yeah.
not doing 37 deals a month, and they're under the impression it's because they can't afford to buy enough leads. That's why they're not doing 37. What advice would you give to someone who's thinking that way?
Well, the first thing is, what are you doing with the people you do know?
Yeah.
What are you doing with family, friends, friends of friends? Are you out there? Are you social? Are you helping the community? Putting yourself, are you making yourself visible?
Mhm.
Because if you're just sitting at home waiting for the phone to ring and nobody even knows who you are, it isn't going to go very far, because they don't there there's always going to be other agents out there. So what makes you different from anybody else? What sets you apart from the agent next door?
Mm.
So sometimes it's just being out, and then getting to know people, and then, building those relationships. And then when they ask you, so what do you do? Well, I'm in real estate. Okay. Oh, and then conversations begin, and then just make sure they know. Make sure people know what you do.
Mm.
And then hopefully, you're trustworthy and everything works out.
Yeah, I tell you, there's this thing that I call that I found, and it's called Export by Covey, and it's Covve. Export by Covey. I'm going to write that down so I don't forget to put it in the description. But
Mhm.
it's Covey Export by Covey, and it's an app that you can get on your phone, and it used to not cost anything, but now it's like $4, something like that. It's
Yeah.
one time $4, something like that.
Mhm.
You click a couple buttons, it exports your entire phone list to an Excel spreadsheet and emails it to you. And what's shocking that I have found out is what's shocking to most people is they don't realize how many people they got in that goddamn phone of theirs because they've
Oh,
been
I know.
carrying it around for 15 years, and it's, now everything's cloud based. So you don't lose anything when you get a new phone or get a, it just resyncs everything. And I've had real estate agents and loan guys alike, download. It's like, I can't even believe it. I had 1,500 people in there. I go, it's a good place to start, right?
Yeah, so when people call you and you know them, make sure you put their contact in your phone.
Save
I
it.
have everybody that I deal with, even if they don't convert,
Yeah.
I have them in my phone.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have their contact. So if they ever do call, one, I know who's calling,
Yeah.
but two, and I put it like, who they are, right? So
Yeah.
buyer from whatever, Um, but also when you do have that email, whatever you're going to do, you have that list.
You've got it. Even if you don't have their email, like, you get the list, you download it, it's in a spreadsheet. So you can get rid of, the goofy numbers that you don't want in there,
Yep.
Kaiser, whatever.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
clear
all
out
those.
clear out the ones that aren't like a person, but everything
Yeah,
else. And what's also surprising, because I call those people every Wednesday. I've downloaded my list and I have it in my CRM, and I
yep,
go through and just call every Wednesday, and I keep moving it over, and I've got a lot, brother. I've got like
yeah,
3,000 or something like that. So every Wednesday, I just move, kind of move them to I'm trying to call them all in one quarter, just one touch base. But it's interesting. You just make those calls because, like, I swear to you, bro, like 8 out of 10 times, I don't even know who it is. Like,
sometimes when you don't remember, it's like, oh shit, which one
who is
was
this
this?
person?
Yeah.
Right. Who is this person? Sometimes it's enough of a little memory jog in my head to go, I think I need to look this person up before I make this call. Right. Like,
Yeah.
there's something about this person that,
Yeah.
but a lot of times I don't even know who it is. And I just make the call and I just say,
Yeah.
hey man, I just want to touch base with you, let you know this is what I do.
Yeah.
How's it going? What are you doing these days? Great. Well, I'm doing mortgages and, if
Yep.
you need anything, let me know, and just like
Absolutely.
you said, though,
Yeah.
it's exactly what you've said is just, if your advice is to let people know what you're doing, right? And
Yes.
be visible. And that's your advice. And,
Absolutely.
you've got I guarantee if you're an agent, you're not doing 37 deals a year, you've probably got 1,000 people in your phone.
Dude,
And if you just take the time to contact those people and let them know what you do, amazing things could happen. Right. I mean,
absolutely, because you never know. And
yeah,
and and a lot of times people not a lot of times are not comfortable because they don't want to hear rejection, or they don't
right.
want to hear no, or they don't
Right.
want to hear whatever. At the end of the day, you're just calling to say hi. You're just calling to say, hey,
Yeah.
how's it going? Blah, blah, blah.
It's no big deal.
Just, want to let you know I'm a real estate agent, blah, blah, blah. And, if you ever you got any questions, give me a call.
Right. Yep, that's it. And if you get the voicemail, it's the same thing too.
Yeah.
It's you get a voicemail. It's like, hey, it's Frank. I was checking with you, just thinking about you. Just hey, just
Yeah.
remind you, I do real estate these days, or I sell mortgages, or whatever the case may be. If you need
Yeah.
any help, let me know. Have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye. And then
Absolutely.
you're off to the next call. It's literally no big deal. So
And
good
at the end of the
advice.
day, and you never know when you called them at the right time,
Mm.
because at that moment, they may need that service. They may
You'd be
need,
shocked, huh?
and
How
you'd
many
say,
people are
all
like,
of a sudden,
good
I'm
funny
glad you
thing you
called because you know
called.
what?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about selling my house, or I'm
Yeah.
thinking about, hey, my daughter needs to, wants to buy a house, and all of a sudden, well, guess what?
Yeah. Well,
You
you're
have
in luck. 'Cause that's what I do.
exactly.
Right.
So it all works out. It all works
All
out.
right.
So,
Well, great stuff, man. Let's get to the crazy story. You got any crazy stories? You got
you
anything
know,
weird that's ever happened to you in the
the
7 years
last,
you've been
well,
doing real
yeah,
estate?
18 months, there's been a couple, but one, in particular, I remember I'm going in the middle of a walkthrough 3 days before we're going to close. And while we're walking around the house, I get a call from the lender, pissed off. I'm like, what's going on? They go, did you know so and so just had quit his job
Oh,
like 2
great.
days ago? I'm
That's
like,
just great.
what? And I go, we're going through our final walkthrough.
Like we're
I thought
looking
we
at
were
the walls
closing
and
on,
stuff. Yeah.
it's like Tuesday. I thought they were closing on Friday. We ain't closing, okay, let me call you back. And I'm like, hey, are you still working?
Well,
And he goes, well, my boss pissed me off. Da, 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 I quit. Well, remember when we said you
don't do
can't
that.
change jobs and this and that before you close? Yeah,
Yeah.
but I figured, we close on Friday. It's not a big deal. Yeah, it's a big deal because they check one more time before you close
Yeah.
and they say you don't no longer work there. So we got to close up and we're done, man. We end up,
Wow.
it just, you tell them and it's like, whatever, and then about 4 months ago, we're in the middle of negotiations, right? We're in seller counter, seller counter offers, buyer counter offers. We're going out and right and like going into buyer counter number 2 or whatever. I'm changing lenders. I changed lenders. I'm like, you did what? I'm like, we're in the middle of negotiations. Yeah, but I want another lender. I got another lender. Here's this pre-approval and this and that. I'm thinking, are you kidding me?
Like, really?
So I had to change
Now?
everything. Yeah, in the
Yeah.
middle of the second buyer counter offer, and we ended up even buying the house. But then it just goes, and then we end up closing on a house. And at the end of that, right before we close, because I didn't like this person. I should have stuck with the last.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, you should have just asked me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
wish more buyers would do that. Just trust the realtor professional that's helping them out because I'm on the lending side of things.
yeah,
Dude, I just went through this where, um, got somebody pre-approved and
yeah,
took a while to find a place, right? Took a while
yeah,
to find a place. And I do a thing where for me on my end, because my coaching program that I'm in, I call my
yeah,
pre-approved lookings every Thursday, every
yeah,
Thursday and just check in. Why? Twofold, to make sure they're still on our collective team. Like if it was you and me, make sure we're all on the
yep.
same team still, make sure they're still with me, but keep them
Nothing changed.
motivated and just, if they need
Hey, get
something.
off the fence. Yeah,
With this particular borrower, every time I called on a Thursday, it was always a voicemail. I always just got a, but I leave the voicemails. I left the voice. Well,
yeah,
anyway, I get the call over the weekend, of course. Need a pre-approval letter. Okay, here it is, ready to go. Oh, change it. Okay, it's changed. Change it again. Okay, it's changed because on price, right?
yeah,
No
yeah, yeah,
problem. Then they get into contract, right? And then they go on vacation. So then they're gone, like out overseas, right? They're gone. It's like,
yeah.
okay, well, we can still deal with it, right? So we're just, but on our end, we got this really tight squeezed escrow. It's like a 3-week close with like
Yeah, 21-day close, and
six
and I'm
day
going on vacation.
contingencies on appraisal. And I was like, okay, so we're like
Yeah,
cranking on our end and, doing our best to get this done, ordering appraisals. We're having trouble getting things signed because of internet issues overseas and all these
yeah,
things and all this stuff, only to come and find out, oh, well, we're talking to another loan company. Only reason that they even called me over the weekends because the other loan company wasn't responding. So they just used me for a letter. But here's the problem with that. I was neck deep in this thing. I'm halfway down the road on this super fast close, and it's like I've got the appraised lord on a VA deal, blah blah blah. But so they wound up going with me, and I had to get
yeah,
in there, and I had to duke it out, and I had to go through the process and do all that stuff.
yeah,
But yeah, I wish more buyers would just trust that the realtor partner who's referring them to the loan partner, they're doing it for a reason beyond
yeah, or but vice versa. Yeah, I mean, once
rate,
you get
or yeah,
into
vice
the process and
versa.
you're
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
follow it, finish it through,
yeah,
you're right. I mean, that is a big deal, because a lot of times we're there to help them.
yeah, yeah. We're there to help.
We've
And
already done our due diligence.
look, and you can't blame people. They're especially when it comes to the loan side of things. A lot of times for them,
Mhm.
it's just a number, right? It's an interest rate, and it's just a number, and there's not like a team behind that or a
Yeah,
people behind that, who don't get paid unless this thing goes through. And to them, it's just a number, so they just think it's just a commodity that can just, which I guess it kind of
yeah,
is. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
at the end of the day,
it is. I mean,
you can't
but
really
it's
blame
also
them.
relationships still. I
Yeah,
mean, because how many people actually understand the numbers?
Yeah, you're right. It's a tough, it's
It
interesting.
you know, most unless you've purchased and sold 3 or 4 homes, it takes you a while before it starts clicking,
Yeah.
or unless you're totally into numbers, right? I mean,
Right.
but for a lot of people, they just look at, "Oh, this number's bigger than this." But yeah, but what's the APR? How many
Yeah.
fees? What's the points? What's
Yeah.
this?
What?
So you
Yeah.
start getting all those questions and they have no clue
Yeah. Yeah.
until the
That's true.
end. I
Right.
owe what? I gotta pay
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah,
anyways, well,
it's
listen,
tough.
if somebody wanted to likes you and likes what they're hearing, an agent's watching right now and would kind of like to maybe they're exploring other opportunities, maybe looking around. You, of course,
Yeah,
can handle Northern California, Southern California. If someone would reach out to you, even just to send you a referral, if they got somebody in your neck of the woods that they can need to refer
absolutely.
somebody to, or if they wanted to chat with you about more deeper, a deeper conversation. Best way to get through to you is a cell phone number. What's that number?
Yeah, so, call me, text me, and or you can even, Google me and find my email and all that
Sure.
stuff. My email's Esquivel, which is my last name,
Hmm.
and then realtycb@gmail.com.
And we'll put that down in the description on the YouTube.
Yeah,
So
yeah, absolutely.
Marco's email will be there, and your phone number is 916-302-6535.
Yep,
Okay,
yep,
so
and here's the thing,
916. Okay, go
I
ahead.
pick up. I will
He'll
pick up the
answer his
phone.
phone, people.
Pick up the phone, and that's the other thing. I tell every real estate agent, every lender, anybody in service industries, I don't care what you're in, pick up the phone
Yeah,
because yes, technology is the new thing. But at the end of the day, if they're calling, there's probably a reason why.
they want to talk to you.
Yes.
That's why.
Yeah.
So good
Pick
stuff.
up the phone. So,
Great stuff. Pick up the phone. All right. So Marco
yep. That's good. Val.
Esquivel. Marco Esquivel, first team real estate,
Yep.
916-302-6535. Give him a call. Marco,
Absolutely.
thanks for being on the Behind the Agent podcast, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thanks, Frank. It was
Yeah, it's
nice,
been fun. It's been a
talking.
good chat. So
Definitely.
all right,
I
guys.
appreciate it.
So, yeah, you guys are watching. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Obviously, share this with any other real estate agent you feel would benefit from it, especially if you're an agent who's maybe doing the same, or as Marco, but some other agents who could use the help, could hear this, right? They could afford to
Yeah.
hear what this message. Please just go ahead and send it along to them. All right, you guys have a
Definitely.
great one, Marco. Thanks again. For everybody else, we'll catch you here next time on the Behind the Agent podcast. We'll see you guys. Bye bye.